as soon as Nikhil says my name. I don't like to make a big entrance or anything, but I appreciate you being here, and I'm so happy to be here and just trying another chance to think about Irfan. I wish I could be there in person. I actually have COVID. Otherwise, I promise I would have been there. I wouldn't miss a screening of Irfan for the world. Really happy to be here. Thanks for watching the movie after all these years, and thanks for thanks for this opportunity to come and just muse about Irfan again. It's always something I treasure.
Hello, Ritesh. Thank you for being here with us. The time difference and the health conditions and all of that apart. Uh, how many of your quick show of hands have watched Lunchbox? Oh, so for a lot of y'all, it's a revisiting. So, Ritesh, can we start with the genesis of this film? Because I know that you said that when you came to Bombay, you wanted to work on a documentary on the Dabbawalas and how over time this idea of nonfiction crystallized into fiction. And then when you were writing the script, Irfan was a name that was very clear in your head for the character. So can you talk us a little bit about that journey from nonfiction to fiction to getting Irfan into it?
Uh, well, I'll keep the first part really short because it's not that interesting. But yeah, I was thinking of making a documentary, and I pretty quickly decided to try to make it a feature because I found her character, and then through her, I found Irfan's character, and through him, I found Nawaz's character. Um, but I was, the writing was very easy because I was picturing Irfan in it. Of course, I don't know him. I just knew him from his performances. But when I met him for the first time, I told him that I had written it for him, and I had also read a bunch of his interviews. And I remember telling him that we can really make people feel something. He had some quote that that movies are uh, good movies capture people and live inside them. So I just basically recoded his quote back to him. And I thought that would work. Unfortunately, it did. But I also told him that if he wouldn't do it, I would have to rewrite the whole thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, Shutaba was also there when we met for the first time, and it was, a real gift, a real gift. And before we shot the movie, he came on board 4 or 5 months before. Um, so we just got a whole lot of time to page through the script over and over. He would be shooting somewhere, I would meet him there, and then drive in his car back to his house to Malalan. And we would just be sitting in the car, Bombay traffic, 2 hours, and just paging through the script. And we got a chance to do that so many times. Each time we would do that, I would go back and rewrite it and bring it, closer to him. So as he was trying to get into it, I was bringing it closer to him. And you don't get that. Now I've made a few movies, like you don't get that pleasure or that time with an actor to turn it into a script into a suit that only he can wear. So that was really that's something really special that was a gift that he actually gave the movie, because it really meant a lot to him. And it of course, because he was it was I mean, I wrote it for him, but as we went, it just became even more for him.
Love that because I think over these months that we were conversing with him, you'll found something more personal. I think he said he based his character a lot on his uncle, and you were drawing on life. Ritesh, what was it like being on set with him? Because I remember watching these interviews with both of you, and you would just want Irfan to smoke, for example, in a scene silently. And you didn't want to tell him that. So you were creating these sort of subtexts and explanations, and Irfan would just be like, "Just you want me to smoke? Just should I just do that?" What was it like being on set with someone who is? I remember this is a quote that he says, which is, "There's a phobia of being mechanical that he had. He didn't want to layer his performances with too much intention. He just wanted to be in the moment. So what was it like
Yeah.
creating and sculpting that presence on set?"
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I mean, there's probably that, like, when you're taking a movie out into the world and you do a bunch of interviews and everybody, is just trying to be entertaining in an interview. And, you just say things to make people laugh and stuff. And, we had a lot of fun together just saying, the same things, answering the same question in different ways in different interviews. But, working with him on set, it was a pretty quick shoot, 30-day shoot. And it was just most of his time, like, except for scenes with Nawaz, like, he was alone in every scene, in the voiceovers, in his balcony. And, it was very, it was just, it's not easy. It's not easy for an actor not to have a counterpoint. Like, when you're performing, your acting is not acting, like any good actor will tell you, it's mostly reacting, so uh, I mean, I was just marveling, like, after the fact, now after all these years, at just his, like, internal resources to be able to do that for, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, just to be by himself. And, now that we have the benefit of retrospect, like, between setting up shots, we were shooting in Bandra, I would notice him watching people, not for this scene or this movie, but, like, there's a family eating, breakfast at outside, their house in the porch, and we were talking, and he just looked over at them and smiled and said Sunday. And now I know, like, that, and like any good actor, he's just taking that and he's storing it in his head to use that in the future. That feeling of a family getting together on a Sunday. And, we could see that, we could feel that. So, he was just like a tremendous observer of life. Like, you sitting with him anywhere. I mean, he spent, like, I think Nikhil said something interesting about his point of view and him being a certain way. But what I noticed most often about him, when we traveled together for, a couple of months to take the movie out, I mean, he was just observing life all the time, and he was recording it and storing it. So it's no wonder, like, you see that performance. It's just, he's drawn from, his vast bank of just, he was so curious about people and such a great, detailed observer of life. I hope that answers your question.
It
But
did. It did. Thank you,
that's
Ritesh.
what it was like working with him. It was just about watching him, draw on this, draw on his resources that he had just honestly collected. Because that doesn't come from, it's acting is in the moment, but it comes from just years and years of preparation.
Last year was 10 years of Lunchbox, and this film is aged marvelously. And I'm glad that we all get to share the collective experience of watching this film again. Ritesh, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you
Thank
feel
you.
better. And yeah, I hope all of you have a lovely time visiting or revisiting the film right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this, and lots of love.